The Honda Passport is back, and it's ready for some fun. We put its off-road chops to the test on this episode of Driving Sports TV. If I could take just a minute to ask you to subscribe, we need your support to hit 100,000 subscribers. Now let's get on with our review of the Honda Passport. Introduced in the early 90s, the original Passport was Honda's first entry into the growing SUV market. It was also a rebadged Isuzu Rodeo. Brief side note, Isuzu sold so many different versions of the Rodeo, it'll blow your mind. In addition to the Passport, there was also the Honda Jazz, the Opel Frontera, the Chevrolet Rodeo, and even one called the Isuzu MU Wizard. How cool was that? Well, finally, after nearly a decade of solid sales, Honda replaced the badge-engineered SUV with a new model engineered entirely in-house. This new one was called the Pilot. For 2019, Honda has finally brought back the Passport name as a new mid-size two-row crossover slotted between the compact CR-V and the three-row Pilot. The Passport starts at $31,990, nicely equipped. The model we're going to test drive today is the loaded all-wheel drive Elite. Price as you see it here, $44,725, including delivery. Now, the whole point of this class of crossover is that you can bring the family along with you as well as all the stuff they'll need. So storage is critical. Here the Passport delivers with 50 cubic feet when the second row is in use. Fold it flat for 100 cubic feet. So much space. There's also a cubby under the floor for out-of-sight storage. The story continues to the second row with lots of legroom for full-size adults. The seat even tilts back. Passengers also get their own aircon as well as USB and AC power. Cup holders are the new arms race in automotive, and Honda didn't skimp. There are 6 in the second row alone. And because this is an Elite trim, it also has the optional sunscreens. With a tweener model like this, Honda could have just gone with the CR-V's all-wheel drive system, and honestly, some people would have been happy with that. Thankfully, they didn't. Instead, this has the same powertrain as the Honda Pilot, a 280 horsepower V6 attached to a 9-speed automatic transmission. That pushes powers to all 4 corners with the iVTM4 torque vectoring all-wheel drive system. EPA rates this setup at 24 miles to the gallon on the highway and 19 around town. When properly equipped, it can tow up to 5,000 pounds. Driver accommodations are what you would expect from a modern Honda, with nice details, a sunroof, and comfortable seats. The gauge cluster is surprisingly sparse, but really everything you need is there. They've done a great job of making it quick to get all the information you need. You can even customize the central area with all-wheel drive, mileage, or other info. Honda has avoided falling into the everything on a screen trap by keeping aircon as traditional switches. You can even override the rear aircon with just a couple pushes. Great for those of us with kids that constantly insist on putting their second row blower on full blast. That's not the time you want to be digging through menus. BMW X7. Oh, excuse me. Seat heaters and coolers were also a nice touch. Even the safety stuff can be quickly enabled and disabled with physical buttons. All Passports come with Honda sensing, anti-collision, and adaptive cruise control. Our Elite also came with blind spot monitoring and cross-traffic alerts, which are standard on EXL and above trims. EXL and above also get this beautiful 8-inch display with support for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also supports offline maps, XM radio, and functions as a mobile hotspot through AT&T. And last but not least, our Elite trim also had the 540-watt audio system with 10 speakers and a subwoofer, as well as wireless phone charging pad, which my phone doesn't charge wirelessly, so it did me no good. Now, on with the fun stuff. Like the Pilot, the Passport includes a number of useful drive modes. These tune the traction control, throttle, and all-wheel drive system for the best response on various surfaces. Here's a full throttle start in normal mode. Now here's the same in sand mode, which optimizes power to the rear wheels. Yeah, in this condition, it's basically the same. We can even overlay them, and you can see that it's basically doing identical work. Traction control here does know what we're trying to do, and it just really doesn't want to play along. So we're going to need to pursue a more challenging test. But first, let's do a 0 to 60 run.
I'm going to put the transmission into sport mode, which is just a toggle down here. And that's basically it. 3, 2, 1, and drop it. 13, 20, 26, 31, 36, 41, 55, 48, 52, 55, and 60. That's pretty quick. Of course, this does have a V6 under the hood. It puts out 280 horsepower, but it still gets decent gas mileage too, and that is because it has cylinder deactivation. It can run on as few as 3 cylinders. That's when you're loafing along on the freeway. And then when you throttle it, immediately all 6 cylinders come online. It's pretty cool. There's a reason why Honda puts this motor in everything, because it's really great. In fact, it's one of my favorite powertrains. This motor combined with either IVTM4 or SH all-wheel drive is just a delight to drive.
But how does this setup do in more challenging conditions? That's what we're about to find out as we head deeper into the mountains.
Currently, I have it in sand mode, which is the most fun. It minimizes traction control and also puts most of the power to the back. It is just a riot on gravel roads. Woo-hoo. Oof, this road is a little rough. And I have to admit that the spring rates on this Passport are a little stiff for off-roading. You know, a 4Runner would just soak this up, but the Passport, yeah, this is where it reminds me that its main place to live is on the street. Now here is the S-curve that we have tested before, so I'm not going to bother doing a test right now. If you want to see IVTM4 in action on this corner and how the all-wheel drive system functions, be sure to check out our IVTM4 explained video, which I will link here. Of course, the Passport is equipped with all-season radials, and not very aggressive ones at that. So that is going to be a bit of a limiter, I understand that. Unfortunately, I don't have the kind of budget necessary to test this with and without, off-road tires. That just takes too much time and money. Maybe when we have 1 million subscribers, but for right now, we're just going to have to deal with what we got, okay? Good. Moving on. I'm going to go ahead and set this to... You know what? I'm just going to keep it in normal. There's no reason to do any special settings here, I don't think. Now, even though this does have 8.1 inches of ground clearance, I still have to be really careful about coming down too hard and scraping the underside. Last thing I want to do is dent the oil pan and lose all my oil. That would end this trip real fast. So far, it's doing pretty good. I think the first challenge is coming up here. So there's an indent on the left. Wheel's gonna go down. It's gonna lift, power through. Yeah! Wow, that has hung up the last 2 vehicles that I brought out here. Move around this way. Nice. So easy. I love it. Halfway up. Now we're going to have a little bit more of a major dip here. Hope we don't have a problem. Oh, come on. I am really impressed with IVTM4 in this situation. This is pretty amazing because it's just not a problem. Now that Honda has finally put IVTM4 into an SUV with decent ground clearance, it's a whole new ballgame. It really is. Okay, now let's go downhill and engage hill descent control. Right, this doesn't have hill descent control, so just gonna have to do it with my braking leg. Let's see. Should be no problem. course, this has gorgeous black lacquered wheels, which are probably super easy to scratch up. So we got to be careful with that. I'm going to watch this rut here and try to straddle it. Ooh. Don't want to come down hard on something that gets high centered. That would be the worst. And that's it. We've gone up, we've gone down. I think that the Honda Passport has graduated to the next level. Wait till you see what we have in store. As we head deeper into the forest, this is kind of where I wish that this vehicle had, 17 or 18-inch wheels and not these massive 20-inch rollers. The problem is there's just not a lot of air between the vehicle rim and the road, which makes for a rougher driving experience than, is ideal. Still in sand mode, which partially disables stability control and also puts most of the power to the back, which is the best experience on gravel. Just enough slip to be fun, not quite enough to get me in trouble. Whoa! Rotate, rotate, rotate. Oh! I get the feeling I'm gonna have to be really careful here about branches. Don't want to scratch the paint all up. This is kind of where I like to have slightly smaller vehicles, because you just don't know when you're going to run into one of these roads where everything gets real tight real fast. I mean, really, when it comes down to having the flexibility to be a rock star on pavement, a rock star on the gravel, and a rock star off-road, I don't think it gets much better than the Passport. And the only reason why the Pilot doesn't reach this same level of off-road capability is strictly because of ground clearance. Likewise, all the Acuras, they just don't have the ground clearance. You need over 8 inches of ground clearance to be able to do anything off-road. And this one's got it. Whoop, that's a ditch. All roads in the world should be like this one. Windy, covered in gravel. You wouldn't have people texting because it's sudden death if you text on a road like this. Make driving challenging and nobody will be texting. The problem is you have all these applications and software and just all this stuff that makes driving so much easier that it's just not hard anymore. People's brains wander and they're like, yeah, sure, I'll go check my email. Well, right now, we're not gonna check our email, we're gonna check our off-road capability. Let's try to get up this. Now, the issue here is that there's a big crosscut, and that means that my front left wheel and my back right wheel are going to be off the ground at one point. This may be too much. Let's find out. Let's go ahead and switch it to normal, and that should reduce slip, because it turns out we don't really want to do too much slip here probably. Come on, you've got it, you've got it. Come on, you can do this. All-wheel drive temperature too hot. Stop when safe, but the system still functions. That's the important part. Okay, I think we need a little bit more momentum here. So I'm gonna back down a little bit. Back to drive, foot on the brake, foot on gas. Get through it. Ah, come on, you can do it. Okay, this is, whoa, sliding. Okay, we got this. We can do this. Got it. Yes! No! Normal should be the right mode. Let's do it. Up. Yes! Victorious! Ha! I didn't think it would do that. I might have to reconsider wanting a 4Runner now. This may be my best choice, because this one you're not compromising day-to-day drivability, but you still have epic off-road capability. Yes, I did get an overheating warning, but it never shut me down. It just said, oh, by the way, when you're safe, you might want to cool down the system. Okay, now we need to get down again. This is extraordinarily steep and slippery. Honestly, I really would like to have hill descent control here, but I don't, so I'll have to make do with what I have, which is my right foot. Slow braking, overhang, overhang, overhang. Yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Everything just fell out of the seat next to me, but that's okay. It did it. You want something that has great economy for the class and just really great off-road capability without having to drive something that drives like a pickup truck? Well, this is it right here. The 2019 Honda Passport. Now, the great thing about IVTM4 is that it's not only useful off-road, it's actually really useful just when you want to have fun on a paved surface, because it does such a great job of overdriving that rear outside wheel. Now, IVTM4 isn't quite as extreme in that regard as SH all-wheel drive. Yes, they have pretty close to the same hardware, but they are tuned differently. The Acura being much more tuned for performance driving. And just because this has some decent off-road prowess doesn't mean that it's not a joy to drive on the freeway, because it is. Now, I'm on one of the loudest stretches of freeway that I know. This is near Snoqualmie Pass, where it's this really rough surface. You can hear the surface changes. So this is really as bad as this interior gets, and it's actually quite quiet, all things considered. I mean, outside of a luxury car. But this has some really nice, just daily driving features that I really like. Yes, it has paddle shifters. No, I've never used them because why? But it also has adaptive cruise control. What I have to do is click the main button, turn on lane detection, click set, and boom, it is now tracking the vehicle in front of me. I can set it to overdrive to make sure that the speed is above the target in front of me, but it will never go faster than that vehicle that is right there, and in which case it's a big truck. Now, the interesting thing here will be to see how well this tracks the lane as we go around a corner. So I'm just going to take my hands off the wheel, and we're going to let this track around the corner for me. And it got confused because of the different pavement surfaces. Let's go ahead and get into an actual striped situation, because it actually has a camera that's looking for the stripes. We have another turn coming up here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my hands off the wheel again, and we're going to let this turn. And it decided not to turn. It did tell me steering was required, though. Where some vehicles are semi-autonomous practically, this one is more of a suggestion, just so you're aware. It does help and it does steer to get rid of those little micro adjustments, but it doesn't really go all in at any given time. Like, we're gonna start slowly turning, and yeah, it's given up again. Actually, it's still trying to turn even though we're halfway over that lane. So if you want something that's a semi-autonomous type of a setup, yeah, this isn't it. This definitely is not it. Subaru, Toyota, they all do it better currently. But this is really good for state to state. I mean, it still gets rid of those micro adjustments. It still paces the vehicle in front of you. You just have to be a little bit more on point while driving, because it's not driving for me. Because this is the Elite trim, it does have the full suite of safety equipment. Yes, all the Passports get adaptive safety. They all get collision mitigation, they all get adaptive cruise control. But what they don't all get is blind spot monitoring, which in this case actually has them on the inside where I like them. That way the weather and elements don't obscure vision of those little indicators. It kind of has everything that you really want in a daily driver. I mean, this has a brilliant navigation system with infotainment, everything that you would ever want. It has Apple CarPlay, it has Android Auto, it has maps built in, which is great when you're off the grid. It also has XM radio satellite if you like that. It really is just a complete package. And I think that's the best thing about this Passport. It is probably the best do-everything SUV that you can buy. I mean, can it go off-road? Yeah, pretty good. Can you go interstate travel and topmost comfort? Yeah, you can. Does it have tons of room so you can like move your kid to college? Yeah, there's very little in this class that has more. So overall, I mean, if you don't know what you want, get this one, because this is good enough in every single category that it might be what you want. Oh, even has heated and cooled seats. I mean, really, it's got everything. In fact, if you say, which mid-size crossover should I get, before I even ask you what you want, I'm gonna tell you, Passport, because unless you need 3 rows, this is what you want. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe because we got lots more videos. We have a new video every Tuesday at 7 a.m. or a little later if we're running behind, but mostly every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Please post a comment, tell us what you think. Also share our videos and subscribe. We are powered by your subscriptions, so please subscribe to our channel today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.